going to go ahead and start here, and I feel bad for anyone else that is going to show up. But all right, well, I know a few of you are new. Well, anyway, new to the course. This is the second course to our photography series, our photography class. And for those that don't know, my name is Ryan. I am one of the lead photographers here at Bridgeway. And the photography ministry is part of the overall creative arts ministry. Creative arts is part of, or the, it consists of the photography team. We have a media team that you see in the, well, it takes care of everything that you see in the sanctuary. It does the sound, it does the everything that you see on the screen. It does all of the camera work. So, and we also have the Haven Ministry. They do journaling and books and dance, all of that stuff. So if that's something that you're interested in getting involved with, any of that stuff, that all falls under the umbrella of the creative arts ministry here and the technical team here. So again, like I said, my name is Ryan. I have been a professional photographer for about, well, I said 15 years, but it's definitely been longer than that. My specialty is architectural and interior photography, and that is not what I'm going to be doing here, because as you get into professional work, you realize that gets really boring and tedious. So you got to have an outlet in doing something else. And I decided to get into some studio work, and I really like flowers. And however, I know absolutely nothing about flowers. I know what a rose looks like. I know what a sunflower looks like. I know what other flowers look like. I can't tell you what they are. I know what a red rose looks like, and that's it. I like dried flowers. This photo here is a dried flower, as you can see. It takes a long time to dry a flower. You know, sometimes you hang them upside down and let them dry for months, and it's fun to do it that way. Anyway, so again, that's what I like doing. This is Chris. He's one of the other lead photographers in the ministry. He's also going to be doing some work here. He's going to be doing the mobile end. I am going to be doing the computer end, focusing more on the DSLR cameras, the bigger cameras. He's going to be focusing on the mobile end if you shoot with camera phone, which I know a lot of people do. Even the people that shoot with the, you know, the bigger phones, they also shoot with camera phones. And so he is going to be working with a program called Snapseed. It is an absolutely great program, powerful program, and absolutely free to use, and he will be getting into that later. I will be using Lightroom, which is part of the Adobe suite. You can also, that is also, they use Photoshop as well. But anyway, let me get into things, and he will come in a little bit later on here. So the really cool thing about all of these programs is they let you catalog all of your photos that you photograph, whether it's on your phone or during a whatever photo shoot you want to call it, whether it's just on your own doing landscapes or anything. And so here I'm going to click here to show you all of the photos that I did with this flower shoot. And as you can see here, I played around, took a bunch of photos. I'm going to show you here what the lighting looked like. You can see that I turned my dining room table around and threw it up against the wall because I don't have a lot of room. And I decided to throw a little black background there, and I didn't clean off my table very well because I didn't think I'd be shooting that high. And I have one main umbrella shooting from the side, and I wanted to throw a little bit of lighting from the sides, from the back, and I have the flashes. And in the photography industry, those are called kicker lights or rim lights. There's all kinds of different names for them, or hair lights if you're using, if you're shooting a portrait. And then, like I said, the main light. And there's actually one other light source that you can't see in this picture, but I used a bounce card, which you can see in this image. When it pops up here, you can see it on the left-hand side. This is an up-close shot here once it pops up. And if I zoom in, that is what the flower looks like in the back of the camera. So what I did here was I went through and filtered everything. I rated which ones I wanted to do, and I came up with these images here, and I thought about doing this image. Oops, let me come out here. And there we go, let Lightroom catch up here. I decided that in the end, I liked this image a little bit better because the lighting was a little bit more even. You can see here that the lighting in the middle of the flower is a little bit more even, with the lighting on the side not quite as dynamic. But I knew that I wanted my background to be completely black. So when originally taking the photograph, if you look in your pamphlet there, you can tell that there are different exposures. I intentionally underexposed this shot right off the bat. So what we're going to be doing during the editing here is we're going to first adjust the exposure. And so over here on the side panel, on the right-hand side, I'm going to adjust the exposure. And if I really tweak the exposure, if I go all the way down here, you can see that the flower just completely disappears. And that's adjusting the exposure all the way down 5 stops. Now if I decided to brighten it all the way up, I can really intensify it, and you can see my table back there really, really dirty. But I'm going to go ahead and just type in +1. And there we go. That's about what it was. That's what it looks like in the other picture there. And now what I'm going to do is I want to adjust the shadows a little bit to bring the center up a little bit there. And again, playing with the shadows, you can really see the impact of just the shadows in the picture. I'm going to pull my screen up a little brighter so I can see what's going on. You can really see just the shadows being affected. And as you can see here, it's not adjusting the highlight area of the photo. You can see it's just affecting the shadow areas. And so I'm going to pull the shadows up just a little bit here, actually quite a bit. And then I'm going to also bring the highlights up. Again, this is just affecting the flower, not well, it is affecting some out here. Also, what I want to do, and this isn't going to be a huge adjustment, but me just being a photographer, I know that my lights were shooting at a certain white balance, and I want to make sure that that white balance is correct. So I'm going to cool this flower down just a little bit and make sure that that's the proper temperature. So continuing down here, I want to, just for myself, I want to bring the saturation down just a little bit. I'm going to come back up and play with these a little bit and explain what I'm going to do up here. But the saturation and the vibrance, I'm going to explain these here a little bit. So the saturation, the reason why I want to play with these, and again, this is just personal preference on this, since this is a dead flower, personal preference on this, I want to show that it died and have the color pulled out of it. So if I play with the saturation, I can really completely desaturate it and it'll be black and white. Or I can pull the saturation way up, and as you can tell, it really starts looking cartoony. So I am going to pull the saturation down a little bit and make it, you know, just a little decolored. However, let me show you the difference here between saturation and and vibrance. Well, let me explain the difference first. So saturation, basically what it does, it's global. What that means is it pulls all of the color one way or another. So, you know, full RGB, red, green, blue, that's luminous colors. That's what your sensor on your camera sees, whether it's a cell phone or the larger cameras. And so when you desaturate an image, it's taking all of the colors out, or it pulls all of the colors way up. So what vibrance does is it focuses only on certain colors, and it's mainly focusing on the cooler color range. So if I pull the vibrance all the way down, you can tell it's focusing mainly on the greens and the blues. Now, since this color or this picture doesn't have any blues, you can see that it's mainly focusing on the leaves here. So if I zoom in on the petals here, you can still see, even though I've got these vibrance pulled all the way back, you can still see some red in there, even though the green is almost completely gone. Now if I bring it all the way out and all the way up, now this may not necessarily be the best example here, but the greens are much more saturated than the red with the vibrance. Now the vibrance works really great on portraits, because if you want to pull the color, bring it more saturated, the colors more saturated on portraits, it will focus more on the surrounding colors and not mess with the skin tones as much, because again, skin tones are more warm. So again, coming back to this photo, I'm going to just desaturate it a little bit. So bring that down. And now, coming back up here a little bit, I want to make this a little bit more crisp. And I'm going to bring the clarity, I believe. I think I'm going to mess with the texture. Okay, so the difference between texture and clarity. Okay, so the textures affect mainly the details in the midtone of the picture. And what I mean by the midtone is it focuses not on the really highlighted areas, like in here, and in the darker areas here. It focuses mainly on the midtone. So if I bring it way down, you can see that just the midtones are affected. You can still see the textures in the highlights and the darker areas, but you can see that the midtones are affected. However, if I bring that back to zero, if I bring the clarity way up or way down, it affects everything. Does that make sense? So right now, I'm going to take the texture and I'm going to bring it up just a little bit, because I want to focus mainly on the midtones. So I'm just going to bring that up a little bit because I want to see a little bit more detail just in the midtone. As you can tell, this flower's been drying for a little while. You can see a little spider web right there. So bring that out. Okay, I know that I said that I wanted to go a little quicker here because I wanted to give some more time for the mobile side. So let me know if I'm going a little quick here for you guys. So since I brightened up this photo quite a bit, I know this area looks black out here, but it really isn't black. So if you pay attention right over here under what's called the histogram, these numbers right here, well, right now they tell you all of the information of what the photo was shot at. So it was shot at 1/160th of a second, f11, 70 millimeter, and 100 ISO. However, if I come back over here, you see those numbers all change a little bit. So right now, it's showing that there's information in that black. Well, right now, with this photo, I don't want any information there. I want all those numbers to show 0, which would mean true black. So as we were explaining with a few of you earlier, I want to mask only or burn only that portion of the image. Now here in the blacks, right here, I could do that if I wanted to. I can bring that down, and let's see, it'll start showing true black. As you can see, those images, or that color range is now black. But the problem is, if you pay attention to the rows here, you can see as I'm adjusting the black, it's affecting the whole image, including the rows. Like if I were to bring it up, you can see the background is getting lighter. As I bring it down, the rose is getting darker as well. So I'm going to bring that back to 0. And I'm going to come over here to the masking panel and click on that. And I'm going to click on Object because I want to focus on the rows. But I'm actually going to invert it so I don't actually focus on, so I don't include the rows. I just want to focus on the background. I'm going to draw a box around the rows, assuming that works there. There we go. Just draw a little box around the rows and let Lightroom do the rest of it. It's going to detect that there's a rose there. Let it do its work. And there we go. And everything that's in the red is what is going to be masked out. And mask, that term, is literally what it means. It's like putting a mask on your face, kind of like Phantom of the Opera. You cut out your little eye area, and whatever the mask is what's being affected, not your eyes, if you will. So it's kind of like cutting that area out. This area in the red is the mask, and it's not affecting the rows. So now what I can do is this red area, I can mess with the blacks in that area, or the exposure, or anything I really want to do, and it will only affect that area, which is the background, and it won't affect the rows. So now I can take this and I can adjust that down, and I can bring that down to, roughly 26, 27, 30, wherever. And now, if you look at these numbers over here, you can see that is all completely dark. No information there. So you can see there's no information there. However, if I were to mess with that all the way up, all the way down, you can see that the rows is completely unaffected. So that's the useful things about masking. So now we're done with the background. Again, the rose is completely unaffected. Now, some of you asked earlier about removing areas in the photos. What I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in on a certain area, which I didn't do on the original photo. But this area right here, much like either tree branches or just whatever, this little highlighted area, I don't like to see. So I'm going to come over here to my healing brush. And this is going to be just quick and down and dirty. I could spend a lot more time on this, but I'm not going to, just for the sake of this demonstration. I'm going to highlight that area. Let the computer catch up here. And that area, it'll analyze it, and it'll remove that highlight, hopefully. And there we go. Again, it didn't do a perfect job. I could actually send it over to Photoshop or do a little extra work on it to make it perfect. But it does a pretty good job of removing that highlight for the sake of this demonstration. So we're pretty much done with the flower, and I'm pretty satisfied with it. And the only thing left to do at this point is to crop it, because I don't know if you noticed, let me go back to show you this photo here, but let's see here, click on this. You can see that it's completely standing upright in the vase right here. So, and that translates in this photo here, it's standing completely upright. Well, I don't really want that. so what I'm going to do is I'm going to crop it, and I want to turn the flower so the actual petals are more upright, but I don't really care about the stem. I kind of want the stem to come from the side a little bit. So I'm going to rotate the photo so the petals are more upright, and the stem kind of comes from the side. And as we talked about earlier, negative space is really nice in some photos, but in this case, I really don't care about the negative space. So I'm going to change the aspect ratio a little bit, and I'm going to make it an 8:10, in case I ever wanted to put it in a frame. But I still like the idea of kind of the 2/3 aspect ratio, but instead of having the petals in the 2/3 frame, I'm going to actually line this leaf up in the 2/3 area. And I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to crop the bottom portion of this leaf out because I think that's a little distracting. So I'm just going to make it about like there. And you can kind of get an idea, kind of see what it looks like there, because sometimes seeing all this space around the photo, it can be a little distracting. So this over here on the left-hand side gives you a better idea of what the photo is going to look like. And that's pretty much it. The photo's done. And then I can change the view in Lightroom to give me a full view. Sometimes it runs a little slow because it's switching back and forth between the TV, and hopefully it'll show me a picture of it. There we go. And that's what the photo looks like. So, it's a little bright up there. The TV's running a little bright.
Yeah, that's the TV, not the...
That's the TV.
Yeah.
Wow.
Remember, these TVs are not calibrated.
So, you know what? I am going to, since you guys, I didn't realize with my back turned that the TV is a lot brighter than it should be. How about I bring the exposure down? That's still looking a little bright. It looks good on my monitor, though. Anyway, that's basically the idea of kind of tweaking the photo and adjusting the highlights and the shadows and the exposure, and adjusting some of the white balance and some of the individual portions of the picture the way you want it, at least the way I do it, to get it the way I like the photo. So that's my portion of the presentation. I'm going to move on to Chris, let him introduce himself.
All right, cool.
Let's take questions at the end, unless anybody is dying to ask questions. Because honestly, normally what we do is we do the presentation for about the first 45 minutes, and then we do question and answer afterwards. So if you want to do a few questions.
Just while your computer's hooked up.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if you go back to your, I think it's the next image to the right, the one, your studio with the tip, the other right.
This one here. Yeah. Okay, sorry about that. Yes.
So your side lights, they don't look like they're actually aimed at the flower.
They are. You just can't tell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're aimed at it, but they're just aimed up a little bit because they have a broad light. Okay. Normally what I would do is I would actually put what's called a snoot on them, but I didn't have that. What a snoot is it's a round like tube to focus the light on them. But this was just a real quick down and dirty photo shoot, and so I just aimed them up a little bit so there wouldn't be as much light casting on them. And in the end, this was just a quick idea to do, and it worked out, but I probably wouldn't do this lighting technique again. So, any other questions? We'll have a full question and answer. I'd like to have Daniel come up during that portion. But anyway, let me pass it over to Chris, and because he's definitely got a very interesting photo that is going to be fun to look at.
Thank
and
you,
he'll
Rob.
transfer everything over.
Yep.
So
I'll do that right now. So
yeah.
good. All right. My name is Christopher Williams. I'm one of the lead photographers here at Bridgeway. And I've been shooting since I was a little kid. I remember film. I remember the photography revolution with digital. And now we're in this really cool modern age that we can basically shoot, edit, and publish on our mobile devices. I think it's so cool. I switched from Nikon to Panasonic, and this right here has a Wi-Fi chip in there, so I can sync these up. I can get my photos from here to here. I can edit, and I can basically send my pictures off to my client. So today we are going to talk about, timed out on me. There you go. We're going to talk about this photo right here. This is one of my graduates. I work at a adult ed center. Basically helps with high school completion, ESL, citizenship, and I'm the custodian there, but my admin lets me do tons more things because she found out I can do these things. This was the first year that ever, after almost 55 years of school has been in existence, they had a photographer on site to basically take the graduates' photos. And so this is Evelyn. She is an awesome woman. She basically, she dropped out, got kids, and then she came back and finished her degree in 6 weeks before the end of the year. I was really proud of her with that. So anybody seen a movie that basically starts at the end and then it winds to the beginning? So that's what we're going to do right now. I want to show you. So this is the end product. This is a color select. I like this because it basically focuses on her American and Spanish heritage, and also focus on the little tassel right there of her graduation. So with Snapseed, you can go all the way back to the beginning. So I can go to edit and see all those edits all the way down. So all those things, I'm not going to show you all that today because of timing, but I will go through most of it, but not all of it. And let's go all the way down. So the brush was basically the brush strokes of getting the color in. The glamour is getting the glamour look. The vintage etching, basically the dark sides of the photo on the edge. The true image, this is where I start working on my editing when I start working on raw images. Then I did a little light darkening the edges again. Did some glamour. Did another portrait. A portrait is a look in Snapseed. A look is a preset. It's a preset look. So portrait is one of those. Then I went back to a little bit more tuning image. You see how I basically go back and forth between the tools. And perspective. This right here, this photo is a straight gray background, and it doesn't have any lines, but I always try to use perspective just in case the client is kind of off tilted a little bit. I want them to be flat. And cropping is where it was cropped, and now the original is right there. So we will start right here at the original. All right, so in my editing process, I have several steps I need to go through. First is my tuning up the image, right? So I'm gonna crop that image first. And the reason I wanna crop it, because of the fact is, it's too much headroom on the top and on the side. I wanted to get it a little bit more tighter, right? And what cropping does, it makes you focus on the main person. The person is Evelyn. So let's do that now. So I will go to the nice little pencil button, and then I will find crop, and crop is right here. And so you have different croppings. Like for example, the 4:3, that's for Instagram. When Instagram was using 4:3, 16:9, it's more for movies, kind of stuff like that. But I want to use the freeform crop. So I will take my fingers and I will crop on the edge until I get a good crop. And a good crop to me is like the both of the spaces what I was talking about is cropped down to a consistent enough of how I like it. So I got that. Now I will basically select on the middle, and I will make sure her head is in between the goalpost. See those two middle lines right there? I want her head to be right there. And if I cropped a little bit more down, I'll probably have the first line underneath her chin, but I don't want it that tight. So I'm just going to crop a little bit more and move it to the goalpost a little bit. And I like that. And in Snapseed, to save a edit, you must click on the check. And I go check. And it's now saved. Now I will go back to the pencil. And now I will go to True Image. This is when I tune the image. So the cool thing about Snapseed, I just realized this today, it has a histogram right here. This histogram basically shows you where is all of your the darks and the lights and everything else like that. And so I'm going to go to adjustments. And first, okay, so every photographer is different, right? Some photographers like a little bit more darker. Some photographers like a little bit more lighter. That is our style. And for me, I like a little bit more punchy. So I will go to brightness. And the way you do brightness is right now is at 0. So if you go left, it lowers. You go right, it increases. So see how I go right? It increases. Then it goes down, it decreases. And see the histogram? It goes all the way till, if I go all the way that way, it's more lighter on that line. And then it goes down, it's more darker, right? So I want it kind of in the, little bit in the middle, but a little bit high. I say about right there. And what we do when we want to save edit? Awesome. So, all right, so that's what I do on that. And so I go back to True Image, and I go Adjustments and Contrast, and I will bring up the contrast just a little bit. I just want that contrast to be a little bit there. All right, and I'm going to speed run this real quick. Whoops. Yeah, you can do like work on this all day long. Trust me. And adjustments, there we go. And I want it a little bit that way. There we go. So I think that is pretty good enough. Now I'm going to show you how to do that color select. So I will go to a brush. And we're going to do masking. And that's really cool with this software. This software is free, and it has masking in it. It's amazing. All right, so I'm going to do saturation, and then I'm going to lower down the saturation to -10. Saturation is the color. All right, so if it's a -10, it's going to be completely black and white. So I use the mask right there, and if you zoom out, bigger the brush. When you zoom in, smaller the brush. So see how quickly that is all in red? And if I click on a mask, now it's completely black and white. See? Completely black and white. Now you're saying, so Chris, it's all completely black and white. How are we bring in the color? This is how we bring in the color. We use the same brush. We increase into, it says erase. And then we go in it, and we carefully put in back the color, like so. And see this little box on the right side? If I zoom in a little bit more, that box helps me to figure out where I'm at. So I'm going right here, like that. And now the real difficult thing is the tassel. So I'm going to go all the way in, really zoom in on the tassel, and go up as much as I possibly can. Go up a little bit more. get it colored in like that. Color in like that. And that like that. And that is it. Any questions? Did I go too fast? Because I know I speak way fast.
So I'm not sure I understood the eraser. Is the eraser that takes the color out?
The eraser, what it does, it erases the map.
Much like my inverting,
Huh?
much like what I did with the
Yes, inverting. So, yes. So what erasing does, it basically, remember what I did before? I basically made it all black and white. So I'm erasing the black and white. So I'm inverting the color back.
Can you switch back to my computer?
Yeah,
real
sure.
quick?
No problem. Cut.